The guest today is Batman to me. I don't know about everybody else, but when I pick up an issue of Batman and I read it, I hear this gentleman's voice. And so it's kind of a surreal moment that I'll be talking to Batman. Could you all please give a mile-high welcome to the one, the only, Mr. Kevin Conroy.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. So welcome. Just going to talk about what it's been like to work on the show. And then we'll open it up to questions. I got the job in 1991. I happened to be in LA doing a sitcom with Christine Ebersol called Rachel Gunn. And I had done a lot of voiceovers commercially, because when you work in the theater in New York, you know my background. I went to Juilliard, I did a lot of theater in New York. I started doing television in LA. And when you do theater in New York, you have to supplement your income. And a good way to do it is doing voiceovers. So I did a lot of commercial voiceovers. And my agent sent me to Warner Brothers and said, look, they're putting a new animated series together about Batman. He said, new? Wasn't that an old show? He said, no, they've never done the animated series. It was just the Adam West show. So I went over, I met the producers, Bruce Timm, Paul Dini. They saw hundreds of actors for those roles. And they said, now what do you know about Batman? I said, well, I know that, there can't be 60 show without Adam West. I said, no. That's not what I want. So they said, no, this is very film noir, this is dark, his parents were murdered as a child, he's avenging their deaths. He's two personalities, he lives in a cave. And I said, God. So I just put myself just used sort of my actor's imagination to put myself in that position. And I got into a darker and a deeper and a more sort of mysterious place. And this sound came up. And as I was doing the sound, they said, you got it. So it was just a lucky break of an actor walking into an audition. Yeah! He's the Joker here. It was just a lucky, walking into an audition and sort of hand in glove, making the right choice. Because I don't know if you realize, but for any role, there's usually half a dozen actors who will play it just as well. But it's just the right person that day making the right choices, getting the job. And 23 years later, here I am. Are you still doing it? It's that John Lennon line, life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. I never planned on being here, doing this, but it's great how it turned out. And then people often ask about what it's like to actually make the shows. The big difference between the television show and the games is that in the shows, episodic, Warner Brothers likes to get all the actors in the studio together so that it's like a radio play. So you get all that wonderful interaction with the actors. And acting, for those of you who aren't actors, it's kind of like a ball game. You throw the ball to someone, they throw it back to you. They throw it back. So there's constantly feeding each other energy. And so the episodics are much, the recording sessions were great. You had Mark Hamill, and, Richard Mull, and Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., Gene Smart, and Mary Lou Henner, and all these different actors coming and doing characters, Dana Delaney, and just wonderful group acting experiences. Ice-T came in at one point. I said, what are you doing here? I said, are you kidding, man? My kids love Batman. So there's a lot of interaction when you do the TV shows or the movies, you know, but the games, because of the way games are built, they need completely clean takes of everything. And they need line after line after line after line after line, and zillions and zillions, I mean, literally tens of thousands of lines, depending on how the algorithms are built for the games, depending on how you can play the game. So I go into a booth alone for 4 hours at a time and do line after line after line after line after line. And you've got to keep the Batman character alive, you've got to keep the energy up, you know, keep it driven. And then they say, give it to me with a smile. Now give it to me with a little bit of an edge. Okay, keep that edge and let's have a little irony. You know, you're thinking, God, by the end of the day, you don't know how to speak English. You're like, so doing the games is not a lot of fun. Recording the games is not a lot of fun. It's really just kind of, you know, you grin and bear it and do it. But the results for the audience, you know, is going to be awesome because they're just epic. They're so beautiful. And Arkham Knight, I got to tell you. You have no idea what you're in for. It is awesome. It's awesome. And as we've been recording it, we're like going, can you believe we're recording this? I mean, this is unbelievable. So it's a great game. It's a great game. So that's the difference between the television shows and the movies and the games. They're very, very different. They're almost like, it's almost like a different talent is required. What else can I tell you?
I think one of the most underrated aspects of your character is the two Bruce Waynes you play. You have a public Bruce Wayne who's kind of nonchalant and cool, but then you have the Bruce Wayne in private where he sounds like Batman. Obviously, that was a conscious decision, and what was the process of thinking that way about Bruce?
Well, I think that people always ask, why has Batman lasted so long? Why is this character so popular? And I think there are a number of reasons. One is that he's not a superhero. He has no superpowers. He's a guy. So everyone can relate to that. Everything he does is by his wits. He makes these weapons. He creates these machines. He outsmarts the villains. The other thing is he never kills anybody. He's got such high morals. He puts them in Arkham Asylum, which means you get a great game because they're always crazy. You know, the craziest people in the world are there. But he doesn't kill anybody. And then it's just the psychology of Batman is so interesting to people, and they relate to him so much because he's got this damaged persona. He's bearing these scars from his childhood. And let's face it, we've all had screwed up childhoods. We've all got scars. And the trick is what you do with them in life. You know, everybody falls down. Everyone has problems. It's what you do with it. It's how you get over it. It's what you translate it. And he has turned it into this incredible vehicle for doing good, for curing the world. His whole thing is about curing the world. And I think everyone has an inner hero. Everyone has that fantasy of, like, I used to run 6 miles every day, and then my knees started bothering me, so I had to stop doing that. But whenever I'd run around Central Park, because it's 6 miles around Central Park, towards like the 5 mile mark, I'd be like, ugh. So then I'd start hearing like, da 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 in my head, you know, the Chariots of Fire thing, or the Olympics sound, or some kind of, you know, great heroic music. I'd be da 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 da, then I'd just start kicking, you know, and that would get me going, because everyone has that inner hero that they fantasize about, and Batman is the personification of that. He's got that tragic, damaged humanity that he's overcome, and he's turned it into this epic hero. And he does it through these two faces. And everybody has two faces. We all have a private persona and a public persona. We put on our suit to go to work. We take it off when we get home, and we relax and we chill, and we we open up. And there are usually maybe one or two people in your life that you really let down to and open up to that nakedly. In him, you get to see it dramatized so clearly in these two different people. And the way I approach the character, and I think the audience hears this, is that the costume is Bruce Wayne. Batman in the cave is his naked self. That's where he's being his most honest. That's what you hear his soul. That's Batman. And then Bruce Wayne is, the businessman facing the world, a very sophisticated bachelor. Because we all do that. We all put on some kind of face. And you spend your life trying to kind of reconcile those two things. So I think that's part of what made him appeal for so long, is he's so human on so many levels. And he's overcome so much and taken it to the next level to do so much better. So he's a great role model for everybody.
When did you know that the show was how popular it is now? When was the moment that you realized that this show was something special?
That's a good question. I think we didn't realize, the actors working on it didn't realize how awesome it was going to be. Because you do the recordings first. We record them like a radio play, and then they send the recordings off to the artists. And about 6 months later, you get them back, and you do a process called ADR, where you sync up the visual with the audio, and you have to clean like extra mouth flaps, or some lines don't quite fit, so you have to re-record some stuff. So for those 6 months in '91, we didn't see anything. We were just recording episodes. And Mark Hamill and I were together for the first ADR session when the stuff came back from the artist. And we're sitting there in a recording studio in Warner Brothers, and they have these huge screens that you're syncing to. And this, for the first time, the soundtrack comes up, this full symphony score. And then these brilliant colors of red and blues, all against a black backdrop, and these graphics. And I looked at Mark and I said, did you have a clue that this is what we were doing? And he said, I didn't know. He said, this is awesome. So we were both completely blown out of our seats watching this. And that's when we both realized, I think, this was something really special that we'd been working on. But then, still, voice work is used to be a very anonymous job. So for years I was doing this, and most of my actor friends didn't even know I was doing this on the side. No one knew I was doing this. Nobody knew. And then eventually, I started getting recognized places, and I said, oh, this is a funny story, actually. I remember exactly when this happened. When you go to the studio to do on-camera stuff, you have to get very early in the morning to do hair and makeup. So you get there like 5, 6. So I was driving to the studio one morning in Hollywood. And Hollywood's pretty nasty to see. And there's this post office. So I'm driving there in the dark, and I stopped off to drop off some mail at a post office box on the way to the studio. So I get out of my car, I'm running across this parking lot, I go, and there's a homeless guy sitting there. And he goes, hey buddy, you got any change? And I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't. All I have is my mail. Because I really didn't. All I have is my mail. And he said, oh my God, you're Kevin Conroy. And I thought, did he read my mail? It's too dark, you can't read my mail. And I thought, oh please God, don't tell me this is an actor. Don't tell me it gets this bad. And I said, yeah. And he said, you're Batman. I said, how do you know that? He said, everybody knows it was Batman. He said, oh, come on, you know what I want you to do. Come on, just say it. Come on, yeah, come on, Batman, you gotta give it to me. I am vengeance. I thought, I cannot believe this is happening. I am vengeance. He said, I am the night. Come on. I said, I am the night. He said, bring it home, Batman. I gotta hear it all. I said, I am Batman. He said, thank you, Jesus. I am Batman. And I thought, I said, just wait here just a minute, I gotta get you something. He said, oh no, I can't take Batman's money. I said, you're gonna take Batman's money. Or you're gonna tell everybody Batman is cheap. So you just wait here. So when I got to work that day, I told Andrea, I found our audience. But I told them, and I said, I think this is bigger than we think. So that was when I realized that I was getting recognized.
Did recording with the other actors really help everybody's performance? Because a lot of time, and like you said, with the video games, you're by yourself.
Yeah, I know.
So can you talk about the differences between the two and how you help yourself when you're by yourself and how much it helps you when you're with somebody?
If I hadn't had, 15 years of doing the animated shows to really establish the character before I went into the gaming, I don't know how I would do it. Because keeping a character alive, when you're not just doing your own voice, unless it's just you're doing yourself, which a lot of actors do, but if you're doing a character voice, to keep that alive and to keep it fresh and to keep it present, it's hard. You slip out of it, But I've had so many years doing this show that it's sort of second nature for me now, which is great. But as I was describing earlier, it's just so different. But the great thing about doing the shows is word got out around, the entertainment business is a pretty small crowd. Word got around that it was a really cool booking to go to. So they started getting all kinds of wonderful actors on that show. And you're only, I think, as good as the people who are around you. I'm sure I make Mark better than he would be normally, and I know he makes me better than I would normally be. So we kind of define each other.
When you deal with different villains as Batman as a character, do you approach his character a different way?
The trick with Batman I found has been consistency. Whenever I lie about anything, I know the audience will catch me. It's been really keeping it consistent. And I think the audience hears that and appreciates it. There's been a pretty high standard by everybody involved in the show. Everyone takes it very seriously. But we do loosen up every now and then. I mean, it's good to keep people laughing because it keeps things fresh. And I've been the one consistent throughout all these shows. So when guests come in, I feel a kind of a responsibility to put people at ease, especially because they use a lot of actors now who don't normally do voice work. So for a lot of them, it's the first time, and they're coming in and they're not quite sure what they're going to do. So I like to keep things a little loosey-goosey. So at the episodes, Batman does a lot of grunting and groaning, a lot of fighting. And Andrea Romano's the name of the director. So she said, okay, you get hit in the face, and then you get punched in the gut, and then you're going to land on the floor. Now give us a slow exhale. Oh, Andrea. I just threw it in there to crack everybody up. Well, Andrea fell off her chair. Bruce Timm blew up. Everybody went crazy. The other actors were thinking, is this allowed here? What is going on? But it cracked everybody up, so it really loosened everyone up. It was great, but it started a tradition. And so every weekend after that, whenever I get into a fight, I go, Andrea. So it always loosened everybody up. It was great. What I didn't realize was that Andrea had been having the editors keep all those tapes. And at the end of the season, she had what she called her Christmas reel. It was just like, Andrea, Andrea, Andrea. Someday it'll probably be on eBay or something, for $1,000. So, what else can I tell you?
Is it okay if we open it up to the audience members? If you guys don't know, there's cameras, microphones on the left and right. And if you have questions, Mr. Conroy, he'll. Sir, you're the first one up. Go ahead and start.
Thank you. Of course, I just want to say, obviously, you are Batman. My entire life, you are Batman.
Thank you.
That having been said, that many actors say that once you play a character for a long time, you become that character. Has there ever been a time where maybe they wrote Batman the wrong way, where you actually stepped in and said, hey, let me make an improvement?
I'm laughing because Bruce Timm would have my head. Bruce is, I love him. He's incredibly talented, but he's also got an ego, If I said, oh, Bruce, no, he'd say, oh, no, Kevin, no. But that being said, occasionally he has said, oh, come on, you know him, what would he say? We're stuck here. And they'll let me put my 2 cents in. But I only do that when invited. Writers are very prickly.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Sir.
Okay, alright, works. Hi, I was the Joker on Friday that knocked your coffee over.
Oh, yeah. I'll get you, Joker.
Yeah, everyone in line was like, oh, Joker did it again. But I didn't know what to do because there was a line, but I didn't get any coffee on you, did I? Because
No.
I didn't ruin anything? Okay, cool. No. Could you stole the Joker one more time?
I'll get you, Joker. And your girlfriend, Harley, too.
I was wondering, which of the Arkham games was your favorite to work on?
Well, honestly, this new one. And you'll see why when you see it. I get to do really interesting stuff on this. It's a lot of fun. It's huge. That's why it's been delayed. I know everyone's frustrated, but it's been delayed because it's so great. And I have a lot to do in it, which I love. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Gage, and I was just wondering, I have 2 questions. One is, what was the weirdest thing a fan has ever given you? And 2 is, if you were directing Batman, how would you have wanted it to go?
The weirdest thing, not the weirdest thing, but maybe the coolest thing a fan has given me, was a real, he was a metalsmith, and he made a real batarang with a razor-sharp edge. You should have seen them at the airport when I tried to get that on the plane. They had fun. They said, the TSA people must be big Batman fans, because a lot of them recognize me. And this woman holds it up and goes, Batman. This is a no-go. I said, it was given to me by a fan. It's the Batarang. She said, I know what it is. And it's as sharp as a knife. And when I was coming here, actually, there was a funny scene. I was coming down, and I went to one end of the TSA, and they said, oh, go over there. So I went all the way down to this other end, and they checked my ID and everything. He said, okay, no, go down to that other end. So I went all the way down to the other end. The guy said, oh, no, you're supposed to go to the guy halfway through. And I thought, oh, fuck it. And I I went under the rope. And I hear, what do you think you're doing? And I thought, oh my God, I'm so busted. Just kind of froze. And he said, you would be so. And I said, I already got checked by her, but she sent me the hand, and he sent me back to you, and I just thought I'd go under the thing. And he said, you would be so busted if you weren't Batman right now. I was so happy you recognized me. Yeah.
Hi there, longtime fan. Just as an aspiring voiceover, I was kind of wondering if you might walk us through what your normal warm-up routine is before going in to do takes.
You know what Ethel Merman used to say? That'll do. And then someone asked her when she was warmed up, she said, warm up, why waste the voice? That's joking, no. I actually, I sing, and I find that I think everyone's voice is different. And for me, I have a naturally very deep, I have like a big reservoir I have a deep voice. I kind of rumble. So for me, I do a lot of to kind of stretch my palate. Because the hard palate you literally can stretch. And I stretch it up and back just to get my voice high so I get more of the upper register in there. Because if I don't, it just sits down there, and it gets kind of dull. So I do a lot of, range is important. I think, opening up your range, getting a wide range. My vocal range actually had like a 3-octave range. I mean, you want to have a big wide range. So for me, it's that. And then, as Americans, we're very lazy in how we talk. We just are as a culture. And so we kind of slur our words a lot. We don't really use our mouths. And when you're doing voiceover work, you've got to be very precise. They can hear when you make saliva noises when you're taking a breath, and they have to redo a take. And they don't want actors, they have to do a lot of retakes. So you have to learn pretty early on how to make the right sounds, how to do it without any extra saliva noises, where to breathe. So you do a lot of, bada gada gada bada bada gada gada bada bada gada gada bada, good blood, blah 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 blah. The tongue and lip exercises just to get it going, because we as Americans just don't do that one. We're not very precise in how we talk. So you've got to kind of develop that muscle. The mouth and the tongue, these are all muscles, and you can use them. Does that answer your question?
Thank you so much.
I have two questions actually. Which is your favorite version of the TV Batman to play? Like Old Man Bruce Wayne, Justice League, which one is your favorite? And then who is your favorite actor to work with?
Well, I worked with so many that he's so great, but I have a special relationship with Mark Hamill. Just because he's so... But so many of them have been great. I mean, Dana Delaney was great in Master of the Fantastic. There have been a lot of wonderful actors to work with, but Mark and I have a special relationship. We just bring out the best in each other. What was the other part of the question, sorry?
It was which version of the character is your favorite?
Oh.
Like from Batman and Dawn?
I didn't think I'd enjoy doing old Bruce Wayne because I wasn't like the star of the show in Batman Beyond. But it was kind of fun being old and cranky. That was kind of fun. But the original, I think the original animated series still is my favorite. I think they got it right the first time.
Hi. So my question is, out of the series and all the other episodes you've done, which episode is your personal favorite? And then actually I have a second question, and it is, if I go up to your booth later, would you be willing to do my voicemail for my phone?
Yeah, that's my bread and butter. So I don't do voicemails. But my personal favorite episodes, my personal favorite movie is Master of the Fantastic. I that scene where Bruce Wayne is at his parents' grave, begging him to release him from his oath because he's fallen in love. Man, it's heartbreaking. You know, there's so much of that movie that is so interesting. And then the episodes, I love ones that get into the psychology of Batman and Bruce Wayne. I think those are fun. So I like A Chance to Dream and Dreamscape. Both of those really get into the mind of Batman. So,
Thank you very much.
Sure. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Sunshine.
Hey, Sunshine.
Let me just say, not just your voice is beautiful, but you're beautiful. And my question is, what is the most embarrassing or awkward moment you've ever had? Ever.
In my life?
Yes.
A lot of them, let me tell you. I have one. Oh, I have one! Most of them are not suitable for some of the young children. I have one that children can hear. Oh God, this was so embarrassing. When I was 16, my first job was as a mail boy in Manhattan. The kids that push the carts through the streets for the private mail. There used to be, I guess they don't exist anymore, the airlines had private mail services. And they did, before FedEx and all that stuff, they did overnight mail on Pan Am, on TWA. And so they had these mail services that worked through the airlines. And I was a mail boy. And you'd go to different offices in Midtown, and you'd pick up the stuff, and then you'd do the carts down Madison Avenue, down to 45th Street, you'd get to Grand Central. And there was a huge mail room under Grand Central, where you would process the mail and go out to JFK. And I was 16, I was still learning everything, and I was like, you know, trying to do really good, so I was saving money for Juilliard. And the executives came down one day, because this was for Pan Am, and they this is the new mailboy, this is and just as he came around the corner, I had coughed a huge loogie into my hand. And that exact second, he goes, "Nice to meet you, young man." And I was just panicked. What do you do? I was too young, I didn't know, so I put my hand in my pocket. I rubbed really hard to get rid of it, and I said, "Nice to meet you, sir." He grabbed my hand and it was still there. Just frozen like that for a minute. As he was thinking, what the fuck is this? And I was thinking, how the hell do I get out of this? So I took my handbag and I put it in my pocket, and he put his hand in his pocket. We were both kind of standing there rubbing our hands in our pockets. No one saying anything. He said, "Good day, son. Nice to meet you." He was like that old school kind of executive. Didn't want it, you know. It was. I still get chills thinking about it. I was 16.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. I love you.
It's still a dark. It's still a bruise on my mind. Makes me cry.
Hi, I was wondering, since it is Father's Day, if you could say Happy Father's Day to my dad, Zach, in your Batman voice.
Happy Father's Day, Zach.
Thank you so much.
What a good son. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say I wish you would play Batman in the movies, because I think Christian Bale kind of sucks.
Now.
Ben Affleck really sucks too. So.
You don't know yet. You don't know yet.
Oh, we know. He ruined Daredevil.
They're so unforgiving.
Anyway, I was wondering about the content, the subject matter. It seemed like they're really willing to push the limits on that. Like, it was the only show I ever heard the term wage slave used. So I was wondering, like, about how willing they were to, or how much they wanted to push the limits on that kind of stuff.
Well,
they were censored.
That's a good point. We did deal with the censors a lot because, I don't know if you realize this, originally it was a primetime show. It was on Fox in the evenings. So we were allowed to do a lot that you couldn't do with a daytime show. And then it got moved to daytime when it went to WB, but the producers, they didn't want to change the style of the show or the quality of the show. And Bruce Timm and Paul Dini and Alan Burnett, the producer, they wanted to maintain an adult show. It appealed to young people, but most of the audience actually was adult. I mean, its biggest audience, I think, is with college age people. So they had to be, and I think part of the appeal was that the audience could tell we weren't talking down to them. Even the kids could tell we weren't talking down to them. This respected the audience. It wasn't juvenile. And we did get notes from, they call it standards and practices in LA. We got notes from standards and practices all the time about things that had to be changed because it was just over the line. I mean, believe it or because remember, this is 23 years ago. Things have changed dramatically in that time. You know, you hear goddamn on the air all the time now. You never would have heard that. You couldn't put a child in danger. Visually, a child can never be put in danger. I don't even know if that's a rule anymore. No one could be shot. If anyone was shot, you had to hear them groan on the ground. Isn't that interesting? You had to have a groan to show that the person wasn't really dead.
Weird.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird because it makes guns not really legal, in a way. But it also made it palatable to children. So there were all these kind of weird rules that you have to deal with that get changed all the time. And I would assume now, with the internet and how much more graphic everything is, that's been relaxed a lot. But I haven't actually done any episodic stuff in a couple of years. So in the games, of course, anything goes.
Right.
But it's a very interesting question because we always were accommodating and stuff.
So much for free speech, huh?
Well, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. You know, there are limits on free speech. I understood why there were standards and practices, but that being said, we were always pushing the envelope because we wanted to create something interesting.
All right, thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, well, first I thought that one kid with the Joker makeup had the right idea, and I was just going to ask if you could wish my dad a Happy Father's Day.
What's his name?
His name is Jack.
Happy Father. Easy for you to say. Happy Father's Day, Jack. You got a great son.
And one other thing I was wondering, in Arkham Asylum, Scarecrow, died, and then Arkham Knight, he's coming back. And in Arkham Asylum, he played with Batman's emotions a lot, which was a lot of reason why I liked that game. And I was wondering, maybe you can't disclose a lot, so if you need to do a yes or no, that'd be cool, but
I don't know, is he coming back in Arkham Knight?
Yeah, I thought he was, that's what I heard.
I haven't heard that.
Well, regardless, I was just wondering if you need to do yes or no, whatever.
I'm not going to say anything. You can't many times. By much better triggers than you. Sorry.
It's okay. No, it's okay.
No Arkham stories. Yeah.
Hi, okay, so I have a request and a question. Can you say justice?
Justice.
Alright, thank you. And then also,
Justice!
looking back in 1991 when you first started voicing Batman in this series, is there any way that you would go back, if you could, and change the development of his character and how you've developed it into what you do today?
No, I think it was perfectly developed. I'm kidding. I don't know. You know, you do the best you can. You kind of wing it as you go along. You make choices, and luckily, you hope you have people like Bruce Timm and you know, Alan Burnett, and Paul Dini, and Andre Romano, wonderful people to criticize you, to push you. And the interesting thing about actors, some actors are great at taking direction and are really flexible. I love working with actors like that, who will change, who love getting input. And some actors, it's a real ego trip, and they don't take direction. And you give them a note, and they're like, I beg your pardon. I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, you know? And you can't get them to change. I love to get directed. I love input. So it's interesting to watch. Andrea is such a great professional. She's such a classy woman. She started out as an actress, so she knows how to talk to actors. She knows how to work with actors. Because with actors, you want to get an organic performance. You know, you want to get it from their inside. Anybody can imitate. People come up to me here all the time and imitate me. And I think, great, you know, it's not hard to imitate someone once they've established the sound. It's establishing the sound, it's thinking about it, it's coming up with it. That's the hard part. There are a million people who can imitate Mark Hamill. But Mark Hamill is Mark Hamill. You know, you can hear it in a minute if it's him, because he invented that sound. So Andre is great at working with actors to get the sound organic. You don't want to say, okay, no, this is what I want you to do. Say it like this, you know. Go to the store! Because if the person just imitates you, go to the store! It's going to sound like they're imitating somebody. But she'll say to the actor, no, we need more urgency. No, you really need that. You really need what they're going to get. We want you to really tell them what you need. Oh, go to the store! And then suddenly there's an urgency to it that wasn't there before. You know what I mean? She worked with the actor to get it out of them as a director. And she's great at doing that. And I've seen her do it so well. There's something called stunt casting in Hollywood now, where they bring people in who aren't necessarily the right person for the job, but because they've got a name, the producer wants that name on the product, and so they hire the actor. And so you end up working with a lot of actors who've never done voiceovers before, or who aren't necessarily the person who's right for the role, but they're there because the producer wanted them. She's great at working with a person and not, because you want to work with them and not embarrass them if you're not getting what you want. And she'll ask for it again, and she'll ask for it again, and she'll ask for it again. And you just hear the person is stuck because they can't hear that they're doing it again. And she'll say, no, they'll go, no! She'll say, no, we need it bigger. They'll go, no! She'll go, no, really, really big, it's the end of the world. They go, no! She'll go, no, like the atomic bomb is gonna fall. They'll go, no! And all the rest of us hear that it's the same thing, and that person, you can see them getting more and more frustrated. She'll go, no, it's like apocalyptic. It's like, you know, the Nazis are coming, you gotta defend the world. They'll go, no! and then they'll look at her and go, yeah. She'll go, great, that was great. Okay, we'll come back to it at the end. And then, at the end, she'll say, great, thank you everybody. Okay, it was great, everybody was wonderful. Kevin, could you come up here for a minute? I'll go up, she'll go, what's your schedule like for the next 2 hours? And I'll go, I can loosen up. What do you need? She said, we're bringing a new actor in. We're going to redo those lines with a new character. And it'll turn out that she will have put out a call, found a different actor, hired them, bringing them in, without letting that other person know that it just didn't work. Which is, I think, so wonderful of her, to let that person save face. You know what I mean? She knows how to work with people, and she honors them, and she respects them. And if she doesn't get what she needs, she doesn't make a big deal about it. You just find out, oh, someone else is going in afterwards. There's a real trick to working with actors, and when you're working with people like that, they can get it out of you the right way. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Okay.
I kind of rambled, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. All right, thank you.
Hi, I was wondering what keeps you coming back to the role after all these years?
The paycheck. The pay is good. No, it's Batman, you know, I mean, it's like, it's like working on the Statue of Liberty, you know what I mean? I mean, he's epic, he's iconic, everyone says, who's your favorite superhero other than Batman? I go, is there a superhero other than Batman? I mean, when you start with him, what do? I'm so lucky to have landed in this. I really am. I thank my blessings. I really do. That's why I do it. I love doing it.
Awesome, thank you.
Sure.
Bad news, guys. You have the last question, and then we'll get the last word from Mr. Conroy, so make sure it's good, or I'm going to ask somebody else.
Oh, the pressure. I hope you never
feel any pressure. Tick-tock, tick-tock.
Oh boy. I wish that you and Mark would never retire, except that I'd have to keep upgrading my gaming systems.
I know.
You did a great job of covering Am I Blue in an episode of Justice League. Is there a song that you wish you could have covered as Batman, and would you give us a verse?